Shalom, family. Good to see you here again. Well, we're going to talk about what's going on up at the White House. Donald Trump had promised that building the ballroom would not harm the White House. Because you're talking about a structure that is probably about 400 years, 400 years old, that our forefathers, because slaves built it. So that would have been our forefathers that were out there doing that back-breaking labor for no money. And of course, he didn't do what he said. Come on, what do you expect from a 34 convicted criminal? You thought he was going to keep his word? Well, he didn't. Hold on one second, y'all. Yeah. Okay, y'all. I'm sorry about that. I a call came in that I had to take, and unfortunately, it was a very slow talking African guy. So I'm trying to get off the phone because I'm live, but at the same time, it was something I really had to take care of. Um, so anyway, y'all, Donald Trump promised before the construction started that nothing would be damaged on the White House because of, the age of it when it was built. And there were things in the east wing of the White House that were, very expensive, old things that are not made anymore. So, anyway, he did not keep his word. And not only did things get, I think he destroyed a mirror that was almost like 400 years old. And the East Wing is, you might as well say that mess is gone. So there are a lot of people upset with Donald Trump, but he wants his ballroom. Imagine that, a ballroom for a man that can't even dance. He don't even know how to dance, but he wants a ballroom. And I don't think this was a necessity. This is not taxpayer money well spent. With the government shutdown going on and people being fired by Donald Trump, that money could have been allocated a much different way. Spending it on a ballroom, I think, is a waste of money. The White House has been without a ballroom all this time. I don't know why it needs one now. I'm sorry, I don't believe this is necessary at all. So let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can hear what he got to say. Screen. Okay, hold on. So you can hear what he got to say. Screen. Okay. All right. There we go. Let's try this again. All right, here we go. All right, y'all. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. No, this did not need to happen. I don't believe we need to spend, because you got to spend for the construction and all that stuff and overhead. This man did not need to spend this money this way. But it makes me laugh when he first took office, him and Elon sitting around talking about wasteful spending. And well, what the hell do you call this? What do you call this? Okay, he's the only one that's doing wasteful spending. All right, y'all, let's get started.
With the best equipment anywhere in the world by far. And oh, you got to watch that. Watch that. You, you're not allowed to break that. That mirror is 400 years old. A camera just hit the mirror. I just moved it up here special from the vaults, and first thing that happens, the camera hits it. Hard to believe, isn't it? Hard to believe, but these are the problems in life.
Do you remember when President Trump said this?
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite.
Well, administration officials now confirm that the ballroom will, in fact, replace the East Wing, first built in 1902, expanded in 1942, and officially became the office of the First Lady in 1977 when First Lady Rosalind Carter formally transformed it from a socially focused role into a more professionalized political unit. According to the Washington Post, which broke the news just now, demolition crews began removing parts of the East Wing this morning to make way for President Donald Trump's long-promised ballroom, a 90,000 square foot expansion that would nearly double the footprint of the White House complex. Photos shared with the Post show a backhoe ripping into the structure as Secret Service members and staff looked on from the steps of the Treasury Department. Witnesses described sounds of heavy machinery echoing across the South Lawn. The new ballroom is expected to seat up to 650 guests, which is more than triple the capacity of the East Room, as Trump has long complained that the current White House lacks a proper venue for large gatherings.
We've been planning it for a long time. They've wanted a ballroom at the White House for more than 150
At a
years.
recent dinner with executives from the tech, defense, and finance sectors, Trump said that the $250 million project was fully financed through private donations, including contributions as high as $25 million from companies like Apple, Amazon, Lockheed Martin, and Coinbase. If completed, the new addition would mark the most dramatic architectural change to a White House in over a century. And why now? Well,
there's never been a president that was good at ballrooms. I'm really good.
Donald Trump has started demolishing the East Wing of the White House. And no, I'm not kidding. I mean, literally tearing it apart. This was just put up by the Washington Post. They're tearing down portions of the East Wing of the White House during the government shutdown while people aren't getting paid, families aren't getting food assistance, to make room for his $250 million ballroom. Now, mind you, Trump originally said that his ballroom wasn't going to interfere with the structure of the White House, like wasn't going to touch it whatsoever. And to surprise of everybody but his MAGA minions, he lied. I just don't understand how he's allowed to do this. Like the White House is a historical landmark, and from last I knew, wasn't allowed to be demolished or added to or ripped down or like anything. Like you can't touch historical landmarks, but yet here he is tearing down part of the East Wing. But if a picture could encapsulate what this administration is to this country, it's the White House being torn apart. Like this perfectly describes the Trump administration. And how fucking sad is it to see our White House torn apart like this? Wow.
We are proud to announce that the construction of the new White House ballroom will begin. For 150 years, presidents, administrations, and White House staff have longed for a large event space on the White House complex that can hold substantially more guests than currently allowed. President Trump has expressed his commitment to solving this problem on behalf of future administrations and the American people. The White House is one of the most beautiful and historic buildings in the world. Yet the White House is currently unable to host major functions, honoring world leaders in other countries without having to install a large and unsightly tent approximately 100 yards away from the main building's entrance. The White House State Ballroom will be a much-needed and exquisite addition of approximately 90,000 total square feet of innately designed and carefully crafted space with a seated capacity of 650 people, which is a significant increase from the 200-person seated capacity in the East Room of the White House. In recent weeks, President Trump has held several meetings with members of the White House staff, the National Park Service, the White House.
This is a picture of the East Wing of the White House, which began demolition today to build Trump's $250 million ballroom that no one asked for. This is important because, according to the plans, the existing White House would not be demolished, would have zero interference, and withhold its historical stature. But I guess there are HOAs which are harder to get through than it is to demolish an historical building like the White House. Mind you, this ballroom is being built in a gaudy, very ugly Trump style, just like he destroyed the Oval Office. And this is going to be built, and he's building it like he's not going to not be the president in 3 years. And this is not the only works project. He's building a Trump arc, like an Arc de Triomphe across from the Lincoln Memorial. And he's doing all this stuff while the government is closed, while we're out here detaining people left and right. ICE agents are getting paid, but the military isn't getting paid. Shit is getting crazy. What do you guys think?
Donald Trump is literally destroying the existing White House to build his $250 million ballroom that he promised us was not going to interfere with the historic old structure. This is what they're doing today. They're literally destroying the White House to build his stupid ballroom. The ballroom's going to be equal to the size of the White House that already exists. That's how gaudy and hideous this is going to be. It's going to double the size of the White House. Let me read you the quote from Trump. It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite. It's my favorite place. I love it. He's tearing it down, guys. This part of the White House, the East Wing, has been around since 1902, traditionally used by first ladies. That's a good 123 years, guys. 123 years of American history that this guy has just destroyed because no one has the backbone to stand up to him and say, stop. It's also a metaphor for our entire country, what he's doing today. He's tearing it down bit by bit, and nobody is saying no.
So the toddler who fancies himself a fucking emperor took a bulldozer to the East Wing facade of the White House. Yes, our house, the people's house. By the way, he is a tenant. He lives rent-free in our house. And because the fascist Republican Party has no spine, has no guts, and has no human decency, they are letting him destroy the White House to build his $250 million ballroom. How's that helping everybody out in rural America? You guys happy with your choice? This is just another reminder that it is so much easier to destroy than it is to create. All these people want to do, and indeed can do, is burn it all down. Why? Well, because Donald feels bad about himself all the time. And he needs to do things like build expensive ballrooms that only a handful of people will ever use. He needs to build things like triumphal arches dedicated to him on the 250th anniversary of this country's founding. Why? Because he needs to distract himself from the fact that he is a weak, pathetic little man. That's why. And nobody's stopping him.
Breaking news. A partial demolition of the White House has just begun. The most iconic symbol of American power is being torn down, all for a new project personally driven by Donald Trump. Work started this week on the East Wing, where a $250 million ballroom is being built. It's planned to be a monumental expansion, covering more than 86,000 square feet and accommodating nearly 1,000 guests. The administration claims the project will be financed with private funds. But critics and preservation experts argue that it's damaging a historic section of the presidential residence. Some lawmakers even question whether demolition began before all official permits were granted. For some, it's a necessary renovation to modernize the White House. For others, it's an act of excess and presidential ego that reshapes a national symbol. The machines are already at work, and with every strike, a fragment of American history disappears.
So remember that $250 million ballroom that Donald Trump said wouldn't mess with any of the current White House's architecture or build? Well, that was a lie. Images just came out of Midas Touch, and it shows that they've already started demolishing parts of the East Wing. Here is an image. So that is the image right there. You could see behind the additional portion of the White House, but this is supposedly the East Wing. Shout out to Volvo, I guess, for being able to have the equipment there to help tear down that building that is going to basically build out Trump's $250 million ballroom. So the latest design concept is supposed to look like this, and originally it was smaller, but now this is what it's set to look like. And I guess we will see what the actual final construction looks like, and what exactly warranted the need for constructing this building to begin. That is the news. This is developing. You can follow for more news updates, but you don't have to.
President Donald Trump destroys everything that he touches. He recently has talked about building his big ballroom, and he's doing it. But he's tearing down the east wing of the White House. It's a searchable video. You can find it everywhere on here. And it's shameful. History, over 120 years that's been there, and he just goes through with bulldozers and tears it down because he wants a new 90,000 square foot ballroom. The east wing includes where the First Lady's office is at. It included a current ballroom that holds about 200 people. What is it about this president that he just has to put his footprint on everything? Especially after he lied to the American people, straight up lied and said that it would not be touched. The existing structure would not be touched. And now we're watching bulldozers and machines just tear it down piece by piece. And there's not a damn thing any Americans or none of us can do about it. He's done it with the Rose Garden, and now he's done it with the White. I mean, he has no respect for our history. It's all about what needs to be remembered for Trump. It's shameful is what it is. Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. You think it's okay that he's just bulldozing and destroying it and putting this new ballroom in? Let me know. Bye.
I can't believe people still believe Donald Trump. Tells you should know he's lying. And look at how he's doing this, y'all. He waited until the shutdown was going on, and hardly nobody is up at the White House now. And now he brings the bulldozers in and they start tearing down everything. You see how slick he is? He didn't do this when everybody was around. He waited until the lockdown was in full effect to start tearing up the White House. This man is a trip. He doesn't make anything better, y'all. I saw the Rose Garden. It looks awful. It's all concrete. Well, why even call it a Rose Garden? It's all concrete now. It's ridiculous. And I mean, and how many events are you going to have that needs 1,000 people up at the White House? I'm just asking. I just still say this is a waste of money. But I guess it's symbolic, huh? Tearing down the White House, tearing down America, tearing down the government. I guess there is some symbolism there. Oh, the Rose Garden is gone. You got to go look at the pictures. It's all concrete. He poured all concrete where you would have had the flowers and the roses and everything in there. He put all concrete where people can now just, take chairs out there and sit out there. So this man, I guess he figured, he's going to leave his thumbprint on the White House some kind of way. But see, I blame the politicians and all the people up there in D.C. I'm not talking about the people as in residents. I mean the people that work in the government that's all up there. Nobody will stand up to Donald Trump. It's like this man can ride roughshod over everybody. And nobody challenge. Everybody's scared. Everybody's petrified. I just don't see one man being this damn scary. That's just me talking, but I just don't see it. But these folks, they are petrified of this man. No matter what he does, they just remain silent and won't say nothing. But the whole thing is ridiculous to me. Yeah, but that's ridiculous. They were all emboldened when Obama was in office. The same Republicans, many of them, they were all emboldened. They sure didn't back down when it was Obama. But now that it's Donald Trump, everybody's scared to open their mouth. Unbelievable. But that's what he did to the White House. And I guess when is that ballroom going to be finished? Sometime in 2026? Unbelievable. But all that money he is spending when you got people in this country whose lives are in doubt. They don't know what's going to happen. He done put people out of work. People are afraid they may end up starving. It is a mess. This man is worse than a train wreck. He really, truly is. He's worse than a train wreck. Mhm. See, our people got more of a connection to that place than these white people do. Our forefathers, every time we look at that building, we know our forefathers built it. They built that structure. It was designed by Benjamin Banneker, and it was built by our forefathers. All they do is just go in it. They didn't do nothing else. That's it. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. And I will see you later. I am putting together another live stream for a little. If I do have it, it will be more like around 6 o'clock. So I hope to see you there. Yeah, this is really a shame, but look, this place is on its way out. So we can't really deeply worry about these things, but it doesn't hurt to know what's going on. Shalom, family.